Hello everybody, it's me, your friendly neighborhood capitalist, here to review Yoshi's New Island. Yeah, it's a little bit late coming, but better late than never. Now, this is my first review, so some parts will be a little rougher than others, but hey, it's a learning experience. But with that, let's get into the review. Now, despite not growing up with the series, I really do like Yoshi's Island. My first experience with the series was Yoshi's Story, and despite the fact that that game is somewhat looked down upon by fans of the series, and by looked down upon I mean cast aside as the red-headed stepchild who is never to be mentioned, I still like it to this day. But as for the original Yoshi's Island, I didn't even play that until I got it as an ambassador game on my 3DS. Just turned it on one day out of pure boredom, and I fell in love with the game immediately. It's just so much fun, it's filled with charm, and I just spent so much time trying to master the game, and just unlocking the extra bonus levels in that game that aren't present in the original SNES version. Yeah. So with that being said, once I saw Yoshi's New Island announced, I was just really excited and I couldn't wait to play it because it looked just like the game I fell in love with. Sadly, my expectations weren't met. So, Yoshi's New Island came out last month for the Nintendo 3DS, and it was developed by a third-party company by the name of Arzest. Now, I don't know too much about them, but to my knowledge, their biggest claim to fame was working on Wii Party. And I gotta say, their involvement with this game kind of has me a bit worried about the future. And by that I mean, like, Nintendo recently announced that they're going to be working with more third parties to get some of their beloved or forgotten franchises, back out there into the market. And, at first I was excited, but I mean, reality does sit in eventually. Now, yeah, there are some good Nintendo games that third parties worked on out there, like the handheld Legend of Zelda's developed by Capcom, or the Square developed Super Mario RPG, or even, Square Enix coming in, sending in composers to help with the Mario and Luigi series. But on the other hand, you also have the Philips CDI Legend of Zeldas, or Team Ninja's Metroid Other M, or Arzest's Yoshi's New Island. But I don't know, I guess going forward it's just going to have to be on a game-by-game, developer-by-developer basis. You can't really just make a huge generalization about this just because of a few examples. But anyway, onward to the main review. First things first, the story. Now, granted, that doesn't really apply here to a 2D platformer because 2D platformers aren't known for their amazing stories. But I do appreciate how the events of this game pick up right after the events of the first game. Like, right after the stork delivered Mario and Luigi, he finds out he done goofed, so he has to redeliver Mario and Luigi to his rightful parents. However, on the way, they get stopped by Kamek, who wants revenge, and then a little tussle ensues, and they all end up on a floating island in the sky, where there just so happens to be another tribe of Yoshis. Huh. But then after that, the game progresses as normal, as if you were playing the original Yoshi's Island. Now, like I said, I haven't played Touch and Go, Topsy Turvy, or DS, so I don't know how this story would fit into those games, if it would. But I do appreciate how it follows the first, so that's why the, quote, story, unquote, gets a thumbs up from me. On to the graphics. Now, the graphics aren't the absolute best on the 3DS, but I'm not going to sit here and call them the worst either. However, I do agree with some common sentiments that the game would have looked best if it stayed in its traditional 2D format. Especially since some of those 3D models didn't look too hot. Yeah, I wasn't really a big fan of how Yoshi or Baby Mario looked like at first. I just wasn't. Now, originally, I was kind of worried that the art style would cause the game to look rather meh, with lack of a better term. And it didn't help that I also saw a picture of a background where it just looked like really washed out and bland. But actually playing the game, my fears were laid to rest. The backgrounds were rather colorful in a lot of stages, though that washed out background, that actually is on a real stage. Thankfully it's only on one stage though. And the art style grew on me. I like the little oil painting / crayon / colored pencil thing they have going on. Though, I mean, just imagine if that same art style was incorporated if the game stayed, in just pure 2D with no 3D sprites. It would have just been that much better. So yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of the road here, just thinking about what could have been with the graphics, but for the most part, it gets a thumbs up from me. I'm leaning towards the positive side of things, because, yeah, those really nice backgrounds and the art style make up for some of the 3D sprites that don't really look all that great, in my opinion. On to the sounds. Now, the Yoshi series is full of amazing and memorable music. Well, that is until you got to this game. The music in this game is just flat out forgettable, and in some areas it is kind of bad. I mean, there's really not much I can say about this music. It was just not that great, and I ended up playing with the volume down for a majority of the game. However, there was one theme in particular I liked, and that's the theme that plays on the hidden bonus levels. But I mean, that's one theme out of the entire game that I actually liked. That's not good. So yeah, the music, forgettable. Sound effects, well, okay, they're standard Yoshi's Island sound effects, so what more can you expect from that? But overall, this gets a thumbs down from me. And now we come to the gameplay, where I'm going to be doing quite a bit of complaining, though I will admit, a lot of my complaints won't really apply to newcomers to the series, or people who haven't played the first game and sort of gotten used to that. So yeah, some of these complaints may not apply, but I still feel that they need to be brought to light. Now, one of the first things I noticed when I picked up this game was how slow it felt, or at least compared to Yoshi's Island 1, where everything seemed fluid and you could go fast paced in that game if you wanted to. And in this game, I don't know, Yoshi, he just feels so slow and clunky to me at first. I ended up getting used to it, but like, in my opinion, it takes him forever to build up momentum when you're running. His egg throwing animation takes forever because he has to reach behind him, grab an egg, and ready it, which can be really annoying if you're trying to throw an egg while in midair. And in Yoshi's Island, there are going to be some times where you're going to need to be in midair and throw some eggs. But by the time you ready up the egg, you're already on the ground. So yeah, that's just a minor little nitpick from me. And then there's his flutter jump itself, which is just, I don't know, it doesn't feel like you get enough air or control over yourself when you're in the air when compared to Yoshi's Island 1. Another thing that kind of annoyed me in this game was the star system. Now, for those of you that haven't played the first game, the way the star system works is that that's Yoshi's health. So whenever Yoshi gets hit, Baby Mario floats off of his back in a bubble, and you have a certain amount of time to get him back. So how many stars you have, that's how many seconds you have to get them back. So if you have 30 stars, you have 30 seconds to get Baby Mario back. Now in the first game, if you passed a checkpoint, you would gain 10 stars, and if you should happen to die past that checkpoint, you still had that same amount of stars. So by passing through the checkpoint, let's say you got 20 stars. If you died past that checkpoint, you kept all 20 stars. In this game, let's say you pass a checkpoint and you get 25 stars. You die past that checkpoint, you restart with 10. That might not seem like much to some, but if you're trying to 100% this game, that can be annoying. Because the thing for 100% is that you need to beat the level with 30 stars. You also need to find the hidden flowers and red coins that are scattered throughout the level too, just like in Yoshi's Island 1. But pretty much this means you need to beat the entire level once you get 30 stars without getting hit. And yeah, that was the case somewhat in Yoshi's Island 1, but at least you had leeway with the checkpoints. I'm just saying. And then there's the motion controls. Now we know, the 3DS is capable of motion controls, but that doesn't mean every single game out there needs to incorporate it. And thankfully, every single game doesn't incorporate it. This is one game that didn't need it at all. So yeah, for those of you that don't know, in these games, Yoshi can transform into like little vehicles in certain areas to just get through that part of the level. And those transformations in this game are controlled with the motion controls, which can be really annoying and awkward if you're in public. The motion controls also can control the egg throwing mechanic. Thankfully, it's optional as opposed to the transformations, but I still don't see why anybody would honestly switch to the gyro controls just to throw eggs. It seems pointless and just tacked on just for the sake of being there. And then there's controlling this game with the circle pad. And this isn't even a minor nitpick. Just using the circle pad for this game was unbearable. I don't know if it was because I'm so used to using the D-pad for Yoshi's Island 1, but I don't know, it just felt really off to me. Plus I kept ground pounding myself into oblivion. So yeah, using the D-pad for this game is honestly the best way to go, in my opinion. And then there's the level design. Like, for quite a few of the levels, they just felt really bland and almost like the developers were trying to make an exact carbon copy of Yoshi's Island 1. At least in how the levels were set up and what level had what gimmick and so on and so forth. And I don't know, it just felt like really lazy and unoriginal level design. Like, none of the levels really had anything to pull you in to make you remember that level. At least until World 6. I absolutely loved World 6 in this game, but that's the final world. It shouldn't take until the final world for the level design to get great. And for those of you that might say there's not too many unique and innovative things you can do with the Yoshi's Island engine that hasn't already been done by Nintendo, I mean, I've seen some Yoshi's Island ROM hacks that were absolutely amazing. And I'm going to include a level or two in the description of just levels I've seen in the past that are absolutely mind-blowing and innovative and unique. There is more you can do with the Yoshi's Island engine. It's just that RZest didn't attempt to, really. Now, I do have a few more complaints, like how I missed the items that the first game had, or how stupid the egg medal system is in this game, but that's getting more into the minor nitpicking that, you know, first timers to this series probably wouldn't have the same sentiments about, so I'm gonna skip over those. And despite all those complaints I have, there are some positives in this game. Like I said, World 6 was really fun. I loved the levels there, and I found myself just going back to them, just giving them another go because I had a lot of fun in them. I also really do like the bosses in this game. Now, yeah, you're not getting the same number of unique bosses as the first game, which had 12 unique bosses. This game has 7 because you fight Kamek once in each world. So, yeah, but at least each Kamek fight has a new little gimmick involved so that you're not constantly doing the same thing over and over again. It keeps you on your toes, and I like that. And the final boss itself, I loved. Well, okay, I loved the concept of the final boss. The actual fight itself, well, okay, the fight wasn't bad, but when you look at a final boss fight that was as iconic and epic as the one in Yoshi's Island 1, and you get to this, it's like, could have been a bit better. I mean, this fight was a lot easier, but whatever. And the new collection system in this game is amazing. Now, as I mentioned earlier, to 100% a level in Yoshi's Island, you need to beat the level with 30 stars, find all 20 red coins in the level, and find all the 5 hidden flowers in the level. Now, in Yoshi's Island 1, you had to do all of that in one go. So if you made it to the end of the stage and you found you missed 1 red coin, you're pretty much going to have to restart the stage from scratch and search all over again. In this game, you don't need to get everything in one go, but you still need to find all of that item in one go. So, for example, you can devote 1 run through the level just focusing on finding the flowers, and then beat it. That still counts on your little stage counter thing. You can go back later on to find all 20 red coins, and then later on you can devote a run to just beating the stage without taking any damage to get all 30 stars. And there you go. You don't need to do everything in one go. You can go at your own pace, and that's really good. I like that. And of course, in keeping with true Yoshi's Island fashion, if you 100% all the levels in a world, you unlock the bonus levels. And the bonus levels in this game are really great. I've fallen in love with them. It's just a shame that most people probably won't be seeing them because they probably won't feel like bothering with 100%ing every single stage. So yeah, with the gameplay, I'm kind of in the middle of the road here because I have a lot of negatives, but looking at them all, some of them are just kind of like minor nitpicks that don't really mean much in the grand scheme of things. And I did manage to find quite a few positives with this game. So yeah, gameplay just in the middle of the road here. Overall, this game is forgettable, plain and simple. And considering how high I was on the series, plus the excitement I had for this game, I was just really disappointed and presented with a meh experience at best. Now, I won't call the game an abomination because there are some good things there, but it's not enough to make this game a classic or even worth the entire $40. Seriously, if you really want this game, wait for it to go on sale somewhere. And even the replay value is kind of non-existent. And I'm a completionist, but I'm not even really feeling the urge to 100% the game. Like, yes, I touted the praises of the bonus levels, but I've only played 3 of them. And I'm not even sure if I want to put in the work to get the other 3. Now, the same can be said for Yoshi's Island 1, because 100% that, you also have to go back through every level and collect everything, but at least that game had charm and good level design to keep you wanting to come back. So yeah, like I said, wait for this game to go on sale. I mean, because this isn't a 3DS game that you absolutely need, but it's not horrible either. Otherwise, I'd say just try to find a way to play the original Yoshi's Island. I mean, we got the Game Boy Advance version coming to the Wii U Virtual Console soon. Get that. Yeah, the colors may not be as bright and vivid as the SNES version, but since Nintendo doesn't seem to be giving us the SNES version anytime soon, you're just going to have to make do with the GBA version. Plus, you get 6 bonus levels that aren't in the SNES version, so, there's that. And Nintendo, for God's sake, please don't let R Zest anywhere near some of your better IPs going forward. I'm just saying.